Oriona, Book 1, Legacy, Kellan, Edgepoint Station.
Kellan sank into the pilot's seat as Kai, Val, and Dr. Jengu took their stations behind him. Touchscreens illuminated in sequence, navigation paths and thrust readouts appearing before his fingertips reached the controls. Below the curved viewport stretched a battlefield of scattered cargo containers and twisted steel. Edgepoint's hangar floor bore the remnants of contested territory.
Hit it, Kellan!
Nix called from behind.
I want to meet whatever new horror that cruiser's about to drop on us.
Kellan maintained focus on the controls, even as something in his gut warned him the Belloros wasn't just another Ossa retrofit. He froze as the ship's lights stuttered. Somewhere in the digital depths, Oriona was already under attack.
Is she going to be all right?
Dr. Jengu asked. One of the display screens cycled through Belloros counter-tactics, the data scrolling too fast for any of them to absorb. Kellan looked back and caught Val's eye. For a moment, they both understood the danger this class of warship presented to artificial consciousnesses like Oriona. Cybersuite vessels were rare. Perhaps fewer than a dozen remained in active service across the galaxy. They carried massive artificial servers housing lobotomized intelligences that had been forced to hunt their own kind. Seeing one here, apparently restored and hunting again, twisted something deep in Kellan's chest. 2 years ago, he would have felt vindicated. The system working as designed. The weapon doing exactly what it was designed to do, exactly what he'd once believed it should do. But now, after meeting Oriona, he felt like he was staring at an executioner's blade. Only it was trained on his best chance of finding his father. His hand hovered over the thruster controls. What if Oriona was too deep in her digital battle to respond? What if the cybersuite's attack had already severed her connection to the ship's systems? He activated the Oriona's thrusters. Power surged through the throttle, meeting his hand with an emotional fierceness he'd felt only a few times before. His first flight lesson with his father over Meridian's oceans, later during his first solo rescue mission into the Cyrodian Belt, and more recently taking the command chair on the SG Hadion. Though he hadn't flown in nearly 2 years, his body remembered. "All right," he said, addressing both crew and ship. "Let's see what you can do." The Oriona lifted from the hangar floor, drawing a stunned exclamation from Dr. Jengu and an excited chirp from Jota as the hangar's clamp broke away.
Edgepoint's defensive systems are activating. They're old and slow, but those guns can shred a capital ship's shields once they reach full power.
On a tactical side display, ancient turret systems activated along Edgepoint's upper levels, their mechanisms jerking like arthritic joints. Their only option, an exit tunnel, gaped ahead, its walls chronicling poor choices and worse luck. Warning lights painted evidence in flashing red. Zigzag gouges where some heavy freighter had bounced between walls. Spiderweb craters where pilots discovered the limits of inebriated reaction time. His eyes caught the slow movement of the tunnel's blast doors activating. Likely for the first time in decades, as Edgepoint Station attempted to trap them inside. The words of the woman from the bar replayed in his head.
Edgepoint doesn't release what it catches. It's a star consuming its planets.
Kellan pushed the accelerator forward. The Oriona slipped through the first blast doors easily, but each subsequent barrier in the sequence moved faster. He shot through another and another, until catching sight of the Centurion freighter's tail lights and thruster wash. The shipping behemoth dominated their exit path, its engine exhaust painting everything electric indigo. The safety guidelines on his consoles indicated the gap was too narrow, but his instincts urged him onward. This moment required trusting feel over calculations.
Not to state the obvious, but that freighter's filling about 99% of our escape route. We're gonna hang back, right?
Kellan's mouth pulled into a sharp grin. "They'll be expecting that. We'll use the other 1%. Hold on." The freighter's hull quickly consumed their viewport. Every rivet and weld seam stood out in stark relief as he threaded the Oriona through the knife-edge gap between the vessel's belly and the tunnel floor. One miscalculation would transform them into a crushed heap of salvage.
Just so we're clear, being crushed into abstract shapes wasn't in the contract.
Kai's voice trailed off as the ship rocked. The Oriona responded to his every adjustment, protesting as sparks showered the viewport, but continued forward under his guidance. Commanding a vessel this responsive made his years in the Guard feel like piloting farm equipment.
Crazy Mother Mercy, oh my stars, ancestral Mother Sandfather, help us!
Darkness beneath the freighter cut them off from tunnel lighting. The bridge's illumination came solely from their instruments, creating a pocket of nerve-jangling tension. He registered Val's slow intake of air, Nix tapping his console, Kai adjusting a display, Dr. Jengu's soft prayer, and Jota's quieter mechanical sounds. A second later, they burst free, the starfield unfolding before them. Kellan rotated the Oriona upside down relative to the freighter, evading a surge of Edgepoint's weapons grid. Purple energy blasts narrowly missed the larger ship behind them, each missed strike transforming the void into a violet-tinted light show. Laughter escaped him, fueled by adrenaline coursing through his veins. This changes everything.
You!
Nix's voice fractured.
That was...
His words failed again.
I retract any previous assumptions about your mental state. Clearly, you transcended sanity long ago.
The immediate euphoria of escape faded as Kellan's tactical training reasserted itself. He pulled up the navigation display, scanning for their pre-plotted FTL jump coordinates. But what he saw made his stomach tighten. They weren't free, they were trapped in a three-dimensional chess game. Behind them, Edgepoint Station's bulk dominated the rear displays, its defensive grid shrinking to inactive targeting points as the distance increased and its more conventional weapons lost their reach. Ahead and to starboard, the Belloros series cybersuite cruiser hung motionless in space. Its distant silhouette revealed centuries-old armor plates, every surface bristling with communication dishes and turrets that rotated independently, tracking signals.
That cybersuite cruiser has been busy deploying FTL jammers.
Val called out, her voice grim. Kellan watched as the ancient warship released another gravity buoy, a pulsing red node that joined the growing minefield scattered across their escape vectors. To port, the massive Centurion freighter they'd used as cover maintained what appeared to be neutral distance, its Ossa escort fighters spread in loose formation. But the Oriona's enhanced sensors caught the subtle signs, weapon systems cycling through preliminary activation sequences, ready to defend their valuable cargo or join the fight the moment advantage shifted. They were being herded into an ever-shrinking box. 6 Ossa fighters peeled away from the Centurion's escort formation, afterburners painting blue-white streaks against the void as they accelerated toward them.
Nanite repair cycle complete.
Val announced, her voice carrying the satisfied tone of an engineer watching systems realign from the EMP grenade.
Full weapon functionality restored.
Val shifted power away from the nanite repair cycle and boosted the gunner stations just as the first 2 fighters committed to their attack run. Kai was the first to react, his gunner turret activating and targeted the closest fighter, which ruptured in a clean burst. Nix wasn't too far behind, but his shot sent the other spinning off course before it disintegrated under a follow-up barrage.
Did you see that? We almost looked synchronized.
Your shot drifted.
4 more fighters, same heading.
Dr. Jengu cut in. Kellan guided the Oriona into a tight spiral, forcing the fighters to scramble. The ship responded to each maneuver, but something felt wrong. Each evasive option he chose appeared increasingly anticipated, countered, until their available space narrowed further. His primary navigation display flickered, then dissolved into static before reforming with corrupted coordinates. Warning indicators cascaded across his systems. This wasn't random interference. Cybersuite vessels had been designed for exactly this, to learn, adapt, and evolve with each engagement. 8,000 years of accumulated combat data flowed through the Belloros' processors, every victory against ships like Oriona feeding its hive-like intelligence. When one cybersuite encountered a new defense, all of them learned it. When one developed a new attack vector, the knowledge spread like contagion.
It's inside our systems.
Val confirmed. He leaned into the turn, buying them precious seconds as the fighters overshot their position.
I'm juggling power levels, you know. A little warning would help.
Kellan felt Orriona's presence fade from the controls as her consciousness retreated deeper to defend her core functions.
Massive energy signature coming from Edgepoint Station.
Dr. Jengu said.
Yeah, and it's a long-range Goliath series cannon. And we are very much inside their kill zone.
The Orriona's maneuverability, shields, and self-repair nanotech would be useless against the destructive output of such a wide blast radius.
2 minutes to full charge.
What's the firing rate?
7 minutes.
At least it was an older model. But 7 minutes between shots still meant certain death if they couldn't break free before the first firing cycle. Combat data on Kellan's screens continued corrupting as the Belloros cybernetic hack burrowed deeper. Through his controls, he sensed Orriona's resistance, navigation arrays shutting down and rerouting, defensive protocols adapting. But each counterattack continued to drain her processing power, leaving them more vulnerable with every passing second.
Targeting's compromised.
Kai confirmed, his shots going wide as the cyber assault interfered with their weapon systems.
Life support breach in progress. I'm building redundant loops, but their infiltration speed. I've spent the last decade in salvage work, not exactly ready for an assault at this level.
The deck plates vibrated as another system fell. Through the viewport, the Belloros cruiser's silhouette grew larger, its ancient processors methodically stripping away their defenses while the gravity buoys continued to multiply, sealing off every escape vector.
I can't build redundancies fast enough.
Val warned. Then he saw movement beside him. Jota had moved from his position near the engineering console and stood near the empty co-pilot's chair next to Kellan.
Jotter, what are you doing? Get back here.
The bot paused, turning his spherical head. His optical sensors, which had been a steady blue, now pulsed with a soft, insistent amber. He emitted a series of rapid, complex beeps, not the usual chirps of acknowledgement, but a tone that sounded like an argument. Kellan couldn't understand the machine language, but he understood the ensuing silence from Val's station. It was the silence of someone conceding a point against their better judgment.
Fine. But you run defensive protocols only. Your objective is to create a shielded network to protect her data core infrastructure. Nothing more. Do not engage. Do you understand me?
Jota responded with a single affirmative chime. The bot climbed into the co-pilot's seat, his small frame looking almost lost in the high-tech chair. His humanoid hand shifted, the metallic fingers retracting as a complex interface module emerged from his wrist. He plugged directly into the co-pilot's console. Instantly, the cascade of system failure alerts on Kellan's own display slowed. The red warnings still popped up, but their frantic pace eased into a more manageable rhythm. "What's he doing?" Kellan asked, his eyes darting between the tactical display and the small bot now interfaced with the ship's heart.
He's running a defensive protocol.
Val explained, her voice a mixture of pride and profound worry.
He's betting the Belloros' attack algorithms won't recognize him while he builds a firewall they can't breach, buying Oriona time to fight back.
"I'm open to suggestions," Kellan said, keeping his voice steady despite the pressure as the Ossifighter squadron adjusted formation again, tightening their starboard options while the cannon charged behind them.
Well?
Nix chimed in.
Critical question. Did Oriona set up the auto-deposit before they started lobotomizing her? Heroism is considerably less appealing on a volunteer basis.
Nix, that's not helping. Though the attack patterns share fascinating parallels with certain aggressive viral behaviors.
Kai? Kellan prompted, noticing the silence at the tactical station. You've got something. He caught the younger man studying the tactical display, his fingers tracing the pattern of gravity buoys.
Those gravity buoys are expensive. ASA wouldn't scatter this many just to enforce a Galactic Council resolution against a single ghost ship. They must believe the Oriona can be captured intact. A vessel this advanced represents serious money.
He shifted his focus to their aft display.
But Edgepoint can't ignore this. They'd risk losing their legitimate outpost status and all those lucrative council contracts that come with it. Even for a station that bends rules daily, not enforcing a 7R classification crossed the line.
So we have the Belloros wanting us alive, the station wanting us dead.
After a beat, Kai spoke.
There's an old strategy from the competitive Holo Leagues. I think it was based on a real primary war tactic. They call it Tarleano's reversal. We fake being dead in the water, make ourselves look like a crippled easy prize, drifting right into the cannon's kill zone.
Kellan's head snapped up, the Polarian captain's gambit at 2nd Centuria. He couldn't help but smirk. Ollie had told that story 100 times. Bait the enemy into a reckless salvage attempt.
Like a wounded animal. I can make it look convincing. Root system failures through the propulsion matrix, vent some plasma for show. They'll read it as their cyber attack degrading our maneuverability.
Kellan's hands shifted, beginning to adjust the ship for his part of the gambit.
So when the Belloros realizes they need to grab us before Edgepoint turns us into scrap,
Dr. Jengu said, following the logic.
They'll come in fast and sloppy. Greed wins over caution every time.
The warship was too invested to withdraw. They'd deployed too many expensive resources to walk away empty-handed, especially believing their prize was within reach. Let's do it. The bridge erupted into coordinated activity. Val was already rerouting power systems in complex patterns to create the illusion of cascading failures.
Didn't think of you as a history buff. They teach primary war tactics down on 20.
I lived higher than that,
Kai said dryly.
though level 20 did teach me the going rate for Taricaran organs.
Val cleared her throat, dispersing the banter before saying,
Simulating microfractures in the starboard engine housing. Releasing controlled plasma venting. Now.
Outside, blue-white energy streamed from the Orriona's propulsion ports, creating a convincing impression of critical damage. Kellan reduced their speed, letting the ship list slightly to port. While triggering intermittent emergency lighting. Ryan programmed distress beacon pulses that broadcast specifically on frequencies the Belloros would monitor, while Kai modulated the shields to fluctuate erratically.
Adding some radiation leakage signatures.
The Ossa fighters had already pulled away entirely, navigating clear of what their sensors would interpret as both a dying ship and the Goliath cannon's impending blast radius. No mercenary pilot would risk being caught in that crossfire, especially not for a vessel seemingly doomed by either the cannon or its own failing systems.
Think they'll fall for it?
Nix wondered aloud, his antennae twitching with nervous energy. Kellan watched the tactical display, heart pounding as he maintained the appearance of their wounded animal drift. The performance had to be perfect, too obvious, and the Belloros would recognize the trap, too subtle, and they might not react at all. Edgepoint's cannon continued charging behind them, each second bringing them closer to the point of no return. Then, the Belloros began to move, its engines powered up, emitting an ominous glow as it eased away from its web of gravity buoys.
They're taking the bait.
Kellan's hand hovered over the thrust controls, ready to execute their escape once the cruiser committed fully. The Belloros continued closing the gap, its forward weapons ports shifting to prepare tractor beams rather than weapons, confirming their intention to salvage rather than destroy. The cannon's charge indicator climbed toward critical, the cruiser's approach vector locked in, everything balanced on a knife's edge. Without warning, the bridge plunged into absolute darkness.
That wasn't me.
Val's voice cut through the absence of light, tension sharpening her tone.
Something just cut our main power relays.
Kellan's hands gripped the unresponsive controls, his world shrinking to the rectangle of stars visible through the viewport and the faint outline of the approaching Belloros. His pulse thundered in his ears as emergency systems failed to engage. The terrifying silence of dead systems enveloped the bridge. No hums, no cooling fans, no electrical currents flowing through circuits. Complete technological death. The Belloros had actually crippled them, leaving them helpless as both the enemy cruiser and the charging cannon bore down on their position. Before anyone could speak, everything changed. Light surged back. Amber indicators metamorphosed into molten gold, as if sunrise was breaking through storm clouds after the longest night. The radiance swept across the bridge in rhythmic waves, each console revitalized. Power flowed through Kellan's hands on the controls, but this wasn't simple system restoration. The ship responded as though every circuit and processor had been reforged and perfected. Navigational data streams converged across the consoles in swift orchestration, projecting flight paths with an intuitive elegance he'd never encountered in any vessel.
What just happened?
Nix breathed, his usual banter silenced by awe. From the co-pilot station beside Kellan, Jota disconnected his interface with a soft click. The ancient bot's optical sensors, which had been blazing with blue light, dimmed to a faint, exhausted pulse. He moved slowly, his servos emitting a low, weary whir as he climbed down from the chair and made his way to a small, recessed charging port near the engineering console. He plugged himself in, his entire frame slumping slightly as the restorative energy began to flow. A central holoprojector answered Nix's question, filling with particles that coalesced into Orriona's form. She looked different, more vibrant, more present, as if the cyber battle had awakened something deeper within her consciousness. Her golden gaze immediately found the small bot at the charging station.
Thank you, Jota.
She said, her voice carrying a warmth and sincerity that was unmistakable. Jota responded with a single, weak but pleased-sounding chirp, before his optics faded into a low-power sleep cycle. Oriona turned her attention to the rest of the bridge.
The cybersuite's defenses exceeded my initial estimates. However, I was ultimately successful. Your coordinated efforts bought me critical time and kept our vessel safe while I navigated their cyber defenses.
Are you aware of what we're trying to do?
Kai prompted, straight to the point.
Indeed, and I have improved upon it. I have seeded their systems with intelligence suggesting our vessel contains a Triscendant data core, the kind of artificial consciousness archive that cybersuite hunters prize above all else. To the Belloros, we now appear to be carrying the most valuable quarry in known space.
Streams of Orriona's newly acquired data cascaded across Kellan's screens. Communication frequencies, security protocols, transit logs stolen from both the Belloros and Edgepoint station.
Additionally, I have secured several data packets containing local OSA operating parameters during the infiltration. It has allowed me to establish control over the Goliath cannon's targeting matrix.
These OSA signatures,
Val said, analyzing the data.
they're under Jorik Sen's payroll.
Confirmed. Current Belloros command structure indicates Jorik Sen himself is aboard.
Jorik Sen? Kellan echoed.
An information broker that controls half of the frontier in this quadrant.
The Belloros represents a significant strategic target. Jorik Sen's network of cryptology specialists coordinates much of the quadrant's illicit operations. Their elimination will create substantial disruption.
Her hologram shifted, taking on a more focused intensity.
We have one opportunity to execute this perfectly. Initiating Edgepoint Station's Goliath cannon firing sequence.
A surge of lethal energy was released from Edgepoint Station just as the Belloros closed to tractor beam range. As the massive discharge arced toward both vessels, the cybersuite's tractor array activated, projecting its capture field toward the Oriona.
Contact in 3, 2, 1.
Orriona's countdown synchronized with the moment the beam locked onto their hull. The ship lurched as invisible forces seized them.
Deploying countermeasures.
Power surged through the Orriona's systems. Kellan felt it through the controls like electricity racing through his bones. Their shields pulsed, then released a devastating feedback burst directly into the Belloros.
Belloros propulsion systems offline.
Oriona reported. Kellan's readouts confirmed it. The cruiser hung motionless against the stars, engine ports dark. The hunter had become the hunted. Control flowed back into his hands as Oriona restored ship functions. Kai was rapidly scrolling through Oriona's captured intelligence, crew manifests, logs, travel routes. His fingers moved with urgent intensity, almost obsessively searching through the data, scrolling past the same names again and again. Who or what was he looking for? The Goliath energy beam blazed across space toward the stranded cruiser, forcing the thought from his mind as Kellan engaged thrusters to pull them out of the fatal radius, until sudden deceleration threw him forward in his seat.
The Belloros managed to reactivate their tractor beam.
Val shouted. Warning alarms shrieked as the cybercruiser locked them in place, effectively trapping both ships in the cannon's path.
Initiating secondary countermeasures.
Oriona declared, her hologram wavering with the effort.
Accessing Belloros weapons control.
On Kellan's screen, one of the cruiser's gun ports swiveled inward, the barrel pointing towards its own hull, then fired. The Belloros shuddered with the impact of its own weapons.
30 seconds until the Goliath beam hits.
Motion on the tactical display drew Kellan's eye. A shuttle launched from the Belloros' hangar, followed by 2 Ossa fighters flanking it as escorts. The small craft accelerated desperately away from their dying mothership, rats fleeing a sinking vessel.
That's gotta be Sen.
Nix announced, his weapon systems activating behind Kellan.
Taking the shot.
Twin streams of fire crossed the viewport, but it was Kai's turret that caught the first fighter's engine, transforming it into an expanding fireball. The crippled craft spun directly through Nix's targeting solution, his barrage hitting debris rather than the shuttle.
Damn, lost my shot. Compensating.
The second fighter banked hard, deliberately positioning itself between the shuttle and their guns. Kai's next volley clipped its stabilizers, sending it careening through both gunners' firing lanes before erupting into a shower of additional debris.
These fighters know exactly how to interfere.
The Belloros' self-inflicted weapons fire finally found critical systems. Engine housings ruptured in chains of indigo-white explosions. The massive cruiser shuddered as power fluctuations rippled through its hull, and the tractor beam holding them failed. Kellan accelerated away from the dying ship, spotting new problems ahead. Gravity boys. Oriona's hologram rippled as her consciousness, still connected to the Belloros systems, began systematically shutting down a corridor of buoys directly ahead.
They've sent out a kill switch.
Val called out as the remaining mines suddenly activated.
Multiple gravity buoys detonating.
The buoys Oriona couldn't reach in time weaponized themselves, erupting in cascading explosions that sent shockwaves rippling through space.
Reallocating processing resources to defensive coordination. Nix, Kai. Priority targets designated.
The void exploded with weapons fire. Turret systems released their full potential as Nix and Kai engaged engine blocker clusters that Oriona identified for destruction. Smaller defense batteries acted as a protective umbrella around the ship as they carved a path through the chaos. Then the Goliath cannon's beam reached the Belloros. The ancient cruiser didn't just explode, it vaporized. One moment the massive vessel hung in space, the next it became an expanding sphere of superheated plasma that outshone the stars. The energy wave raced outward from the point of impact, chasing Sen's fleeing shuttle like divine retribution made manifest. Kellan caught sight of the small craft, desperately racing ahead of the expanding destruction, its engines burning at maximum output. The shockwave gained steadily, swallowing debris and starlight alike in its wake. New coordinates materialized on his navigation display. He forced his attention back to their own escape, angling the Oriona through the chaos as the gunners cleared their path.
FTL calculations complete.
Kellan's hand found the drive controls. Engaging. Reality stretched. The violent starfield of Edgepoint collapsed into the serene, flowing ribbons of FTL. The bridge fell into profound quiet. Adrenaline drained away like a receding tide, leaving behind a heavy silence that settled over them. No one cheered. No one celebrated. The air was thick with the unspoken weight of what they had just done, and what they had just witnessed. From his seat, Kellan could see Kai's reflection in the gunner's station viewport. The younger man sat perfectly still, hands resting motionless on his console, staring out at the flowing lines of light speed. He hadn't spoken since the shuttle disappeared beneath the Goliath's blast. Kellan felt a knot tighten in his chest. He didn't know the full story, but he recognized the hollow look of someone processing loss. Behind him, Dr. Jengu drew breath in slow, intentional patterns. The uneven rhythm of someone reaching for meditative control, each exhale slightly shaky despite his efforts to find calm after his first taste of ship-to-ship combat. It was a universe away from patching up mineral miners in a frontier clinic. Val's voice was the first to break the silence, her tone deliberately businesslike, a pragmatic anchor in the emotional storm.
Shields regenerating, hull nanites patching microfractures. We'll be at 90% operational in an hour.
She paused.
Oriona, your data cores. Do you need me in there?
No. My restoration is underway. Dr. Jengu, when you are ready, please perform a standard crew evaluation and tend to any injuries, yourself included.
The pause that followed was short, deliberate.
Captain Tarliano once said, "Unlikely crews have always been the ones worth remembering."
Her hologram dimmed, not abruptly, but the way a light does when something more important draws the power elsewhere. "Aye," Kellan managed, his own voice sounding distant. Together they had destroyed a vessel that threatened them all. But the Belloros was more than just an enemy combatant. It was a piece of Sector Guard's own history. He had studied its schematics at the Academy, read mission logs from commanders who had walked its decks when its hull still bore the Guard's proud insignia. It had been a hunter then too, serving a purpose he had once believed in. Now, retrofitted for piracy and greed, it had become a corrupted monument to fallen ideals, and he had played a part in its destruction, acting alongside an artificial consciousness the Galactic Council deemed an abomination. Edgepoint had been many things: a dead end, a last resort, the kind of place a man washed up when he'd run out of better options. But somewhere in its corroded levels and broken regulations, it had held a mirror up to him, and the reflection hadn't looked much like a Sector Guard commander, hadn't looked much like his father's son. He wasn't sure when that had happened. He wasn't sure it mattered anymore. His father was still out there. That hadn't changed. But the man searching for him had, in ways he was only beginning to account for, and some he suspected he wasn't ready to look at directly yet. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and beyond them, an Axrathan distress signal that wouldn't wait for him to finish figuring himself out.